crazy.
About a minute into their announcement video for the MacBook Neo, check out how they position this.
The multi-touch trackpad lets you click, scroll, swipe, and pinch anywhere on its surface.
It's aimed at a younger demographic, but then they do this crazy effect to reveal different parts of the hardware. So around the 2-minute 10-second mark, they show GarageBand's loading time, subtly suggesting content creation. But here's the biggest thing that stood out to me just before the 3-minute mark. All the continuity features are being highlighted here. Now, long-time Apple ecosystem users are very aware of this, but you know who isn't typically? Children.
Crazy.
This machine ships with the A18 Pro chip, not the A19 Pro chip from the iPhone 17 Pro lineup, which means it's the same chip that's in this phone, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So it got me thinking, what can this machine really do? And I noticed some interesting stuff on the spec page on Apple's website. Obviously, you can expect the standard stuff from the A18 Pro revealed back at the iPhone announcement in September of 2024. But let's see. Oh, good lord, it has a media engine. So this is the underrated thing about Apple Silicon, in my opinion. I might do a whole video on why I feel this way, so let me know if you want to see that, because I don't think the media engines are covered enough. The media engine is what accelerates video decode and encode without being resource hungry for the full CPU. The A18 Pro chip can do hardware accelerated H.264, HEVC, ProRes, and ProRes RAW. Who the hell is using ProRes or ProRes RAW with this machine is beyond me. It only ships with 8 gigs of RAM, but at this price point, it's understandable. And to be honest, unless you're loading a ton of plugins in Final Cut or any other apps, it might be fine. You have those media engines to handle media, so it shouldn't have a huge impact not having more than 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, let's be real. I mean, there will be an impact, but what that looks like right now is up in the air. I mean, it just got announced. The storage solution is interesting because the only way you can get the featured Touch ID login ability is by upgrading the storage from 256 gigabytes to 512. What the storage has to do with the button is beyond me. Good old Apple economics. Applenomics. Anyway, regarding that storage, again, this machine starts at 256 gigabytes. What the hell happened with the new iPad with M4 and it not having a higher base storage than 128 gigs? It just confuses me even more now. You get a 500 nit 13-inch liquid retina display, which rounds this out. Obviously, only SDR, as you very well know that this display at this price is not coming with HDR. And look, I was wrong, okay? Which I knew I probably would be, but no touchscreen. Man, that would have been S-tier trolling if they did that, but moving on. Apple is promising 16 hours of video streaming, 11 hours of wireless web, and a 36.5 watt-hour lithium-ion battery, which is way below the limitations of travel restrictions on airplanes. Now, the port situation is interesting. You get 2 USB-C ports, one closest to the rear. That one is capable of 10 gigabit, where the second port is only capable of USB 2 speeds, so 480 megabit. You're probably going to want to charge with that USB 2 port, which I think is weird that the positioning isn't flipped, as historically, MacBook charging usually happened on the port closest to the rear. I mean, like, look, MagSafe, that's where it's been in the past, and on current flagship MacBook machines. It even has external display support, which is surprising at this price point, and that even includes 4K at 60 Hz. Okay, I might sound like I'm glazing Apple, by the way, but let me remind you, this machine is starting at $599 US. If you have an education discount, it's $100 less, so that makes it $499 US. The usual suspects are here for video and audio playback, although, and maybe this is just me, but when they were highlighting the side-firing speakers, the mere mentioning of Dolby Atmos during the announcement actually made me laugh. Obviously, it's a MacBook, so you get the keyboard and trackpad, but I'm curious about how crammed that is. And interestingly enough, you get Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 6. I didn't expect this machine to get Wi-Fi 7 by any means, but 6E, at least on my M3 Max and my M4 Max, is pretty great. A lower end 1080p camera comes standard, although they omit Face ID, so I'm assuming the only biometric security it has is the optional Touch ID, which again, you can't get unless you upgrade to the higher 512 gigabyte storage tier. Negating Apple Intelligence because that term is still
an oxymoron.
The big one here is macOS. This isn't a shocker as it is labeled a MacBook and all the rumor sites were reporting that this was going to be the case. But let's really think about this. I have questions like, will Sidecar with an iPad work? How well will it behave with USB-C hubs with higher bandwidth? Because you know that this port configuration might be painful. But what about more advanced tasks? Like, can you stream to YouTube or Twitch with this? It has a media engine, so it should offload a lot of video encoding tasks to that. How is Final Cut going to run on this? I'd assume fairly well, as clearly they are positioning Creator Studio towards the same market. And in case you forgot, remember, you get a 3-month Creator Studio free trial with a Mac purchase. Sure, there's fine print, but the fine print doesn't mention anything about it not being applicable to this computer, which is technically a Mac. I have so many questions, so many questions. So many questions that, well, it made me do something stupid this morning. Let me explain. Before I had my Intel i9 machine replaced with an M4 Max late last year, and even before I got this M3 Max at the start of 2024, I wanted an Apple Silicon machine for trying things like Prompter and other around the studio tasks that Intel wasn't practical for, mainly apps that wanted Apple Silicon or some type of hardware neural engine. So this thing should be here next week, and I'm going to push everything I just mentioned. And for fun, maybe, just maybe, I might even try to DJ with it. Even though I basically retired from that career, could you imagine if you had this small little MacBook in your bag as a backup laptop for a gig? It runs macOS. Let me be clear, this isn't far from reality. I asked earlier, who the hell is using ProRes or ProRes RAW with this machine is beyond me. Oh god, I'm going to try to use ProRes RAW with this machine. Also, this is Apple Silicon technically, so technically you can run iPad apps on it. So can I run PromptSmart Pro, and will this even work with Elgato Prompter or Prompter XL? I'm basically setting myself up for USB-C hub pandemonium, and also, shout out to Wavelength. In the first video I did this week, I made this statement that it's actually getting a little exciting to be a non-flagship buyer. But my real question is, if this is more than a Chromebook killer, can this MacBook Neo be industry shifting? Let me know what you think in the comments, and on either side of the screen is the first 2 videos I did regarding the spring announcement from the last few days. So check those out if you haven't already. In the meantime, my name is Sean, and this has been Tech Mixer, and I'm out. Peace.
Crazy!